Dan Illman, Mike Beer, stakes-laden card at Laurel Park on Saturday. Let's throw up the field for race number 8. It's the Grade 3 General George. $250,000 is the purse. We're going 7 furlongs. Field of 9. 4 to 5 on the morning line for Firenze Fire. This horse was a Grade 1 winner as a 2-year-old in the Champagne. He has come back as good as ever in his last couple of races. And as we take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, when the best horse gets a trip like this, on the lead, favoring horses on near lead situation, he's going to be tough to catch.
We'll see if he's actually on the lead in this race. You can go through this horse's past performances from the start of his career. You're not going to find a running line where you see him actually on the lead in any race, but I guess it's possible that he's just the fastest horse in here. We'll see.
Yeah, there's just no blazers in here. It's sort of odd for a $250,000 7 furlong sprint, but you're right, Firenze Fire, they kind of like to take a hold of him and like to have him sit on the outside, but I guess if they give him the lead and they're walking, still, he's going to be tough to beat. He's already the horse to beat no matter what. Lone Rock comes in for trainer Bill Mott, and this horse really put up a nice effort last time out over a wet track, going a 1-turn mile at Aqueduct. We'll watch that race right now. We turn into the stretch. He was close to a moderate pace. He's in the yellow silks. He's under a drive, and he just barely holds on over a pretty good horse in High Call, who's coming off the bench.
High Call was off the layoff in here. You're going to see Lone Rock start to drift here towards the end of this race. He's going to herd High Call out. You could make the argument that High Call was going by him at this point, and the drifting out here sort of allowed Lone Rock to come back to win. Either way, win by a nose or lose by a nose in a race that comes back with a 91 against that horse, it's a good effort for Lone Rock. He's going to cut back a little here. He's never really been a sprinter in his life, but I guess cutting back out of 2 1-turn miles makes it a little bit easier.
He's only sprinted once in his life, amazingly, and that was his career debut at Indiana Grand, where he was 44 to 1 and he ran 6th of 9. We don't know if he can sprint. He is a nice horse going a middle distance, but you're right, he's been running at least 1-turn races in his last 2. It'll be interesting to see if he can stay close to the pace here. They should be going at least a little bit faster. If you're Julian Pimentel, do you go?
I mean, the pace is, as we just saw in the picture, it's not supposed to be fast. I guess he's going to have a chance at least to get aggressive from the rail. We'll see how the pace actually plays out. The good news for him is he doesn't need to be on the lead.
Wonderful Light has some tactical speed, and I think Victor Carrasco is going to get a little bit aggressive as this horse makes the 3rd start of the form cycle. He has done very good work at Laurel in the past. As a matter of fact, the last time he was at Laurel, while he was the beaten favorite, he showed big speed that day. So something tells me they might get aggressive with Wonderful Light. My main concern is the 7.
Me too. I've never really liked him going 7 furlongs. I much prefer him at 6, but we'll see. Maybe if the pace is slow, it's going to make his job a lot easier to get the 7 if they're not going to go fast early. I like this horse, Dan. I think he fits relatively well in here. I'm worried about the 7. I'm also mildly worried about his last race. He didn't run his best in the Gravesend last time.
Factor it in, the number 3 is going out for an absolute red-hot barn. It seems Carlos Mencia can do no wrong. He claimed Factor it in for $25,000 from John Service. He has won 2 of 3, including this race, going 5.5 furlongs. And Factor it in is the gray. He is splitting horses right now, and once he changes over to his right lead, he's just going to finish this race right off.
He comes with a nice run down the outside here to run this field over. A nice performance. They're stepping him way up in class. I respect the fact that it's a hot trainer doing it with a horse who's really in form right now, but I feel like he's got to improve by a lot.
95 Beyer speed figure puts him in the mix. That race was at 5.5, and you and I often say sometimes we don't trust those 5.5 furlong figs, but he is in very good form. And I don't think he's a complete one-run closer. He can be a little bit closer to the pace. He does like Laurel. Still having fun as the number 4. This race has a ton of back class. Remember when he won the Woody Stevens back in 2018? He got that big pace that every year happens in the Woody Stevens. They go 43-3, and there's a turn back, it seems, every year that wins. He wasn't a turn back, but he was coming from way back to win it. Now, he has not won since that race, but he's making his 3rd start off of a long layoff. I think he's racing himself back into shape. He was in a very tough horse, mind control last time out. I don't know why he was on the lead.
It was weird to see him on the lead in that race, but he really did break sharply. And then once nobody went for the lead, the pace was not fast in that race. Once nobody went for it, I respect the Junior Alvarado said, you know what, you're not going to take it, I'll take it, we'll see what happens. He wasn't good enough at the end of the day, but he did his best in that spot. I thought his race 2 back over this track was a real nice performance. Off of a long layoff, he couldn't quite get up that day, but he was dead game in the stretch.
Down towards the inside, and he's run well down on the rail in the past. Again, he has some tactical speed, doesn't need to be 100 out of it, as he was as a 3-year-old. Honor the Fleet's an underrated 6-year-old for Lou Albertrani. He's won his last 2 races off a layoff. Like the way he won 2 back. I know the pace wasn't very fast, but it was somewhat contested. He did have Celtic Chaos over a barrel from a pace scenario, because that horse is a 1-run closer that was at a disadvantage. But I like the way he finished it off. And then he came back to win this race, the Fire Plug, over several of the same rivals he'll be facing here. He is down towards the inside, Honor of the Fleet, and he's really going to gut this one out.
Yeah, he's really game in this race. He's down on the rail. I mean, the trip really worked out well for him. He just sat in behind. He had plenty of room on the rail, as you see here. He's going to duel late. He's going to prevail. A nice performance for him with a new top figure. We'll see if he can back this race up.
That's 3's Over Deuces, finishing second on his left lead. That's kind of been the story of his career. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Firenze Fire, the story of this race. Champagne winner as a 2-year-old. Dwyer and Gallant Bob winner as a 3-year-old. Run Happy and Fabulous Strike winner, and Gravesend winner as a 4-year-old. He has credentials. He's seeking his 10th lifetime win, and he gutted it out last time out in the Gravesend. We'll take a look at that race. It snaps a 3-race triple-digit buyer streak, but there wasn't a lot of pace going on in this race, and Happy Farm is in real good form. We see Firenze Fire, the 2, splitting horses, and he's just not going to quit fighting at this horse.
Yeah, that's wonderful light on the outside there, the 4-2. You're going to see him flatten out at the end here and get out finished. The takeaway for me, anyway, from this race, and I know it was very close, he was a very heavy favorite, and he worked hard to win it, but they were absolutely walking. I mean, Happy Farm is a razor-sharp horse, a stablemate of Firenze Fire's, and he was just walking on the lead in this race, and you just saw Jose Lezcano sit to the top of the stretch and then ask this horse to go. I thought he did really well to close that horse down. I think that effort is better than it looks on paper. And then you go back to any one of his races prior to that in 2019, and he runs one of those, and he's winning this race.
No doubt about it. T loves a fight. The 3rd-place finisher came back to run second against New York breds in the Safe Florida Sandy. He popped a 95 buyer speed figure coming out of the Gravesend, and we saw the Timeform US pace projector. Don't be concerned that this horse is 0 for 3 at 7 furlongs. He won the Champagne at a 1-turn mile. You could argue the 1-turn mile is actually his specialty, but he likes 7. And I actually think he likes 7 better than the 6 he's won his last 2.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. We'll see how he does here, because they don't run him at 7 very often. I want to say all of his 7 furlong races are grade 1 races, but certainly 2 of them are.
3's Over Deuces we saw just miss against Honor of the Fleet. It was the 11th time in his 26-race career in which he ran second. He has nice tactical speed. He runs well over a wet track. It just seems like he runs the same race each and every time, and he's just not good enough. And if he's just not good enough and he runs to the level of his competition against non-winners of 3 other, then how is he beating Firenze Fire? No disrespect to a real honest horse.
It's a real problem. He's very consistent. He shows up every time. He actually has good tactical speed, too. He might wind up in a really good trip here. It just seems like he never wins. Maybe try and get him in there underneath at a price.
Linda Rice trains the 8 and the 9. Still questionable as to whether the 8, Tis He the One, will compete in this race or wait for a spot in New York. Tis He the One really likes Laurel. It's his favorite surface by far, and his most recent start was his first race off a little bit of a layoff. It was the Honor of the Fleet race. I don't think he ran badly at all, and if you just want to look at that race as a prep, I think it's a good prep for a horse that handles 7 furlongs without an issue. He has some fast back races at Laurel. It's questionable whether he runs here, but I think he fits if he does.
Yeah, I don't think he's impossible if he runs here. He is, you know, a kind of a horse who I feel like they prefer to sort of take him off the pace. That could be a problem in this spot. As far as his last race goes, considering the layoff, he didn't run poorly. It really did seem like he needed that race, because at one point, coming off the turn, it looked like he was just going to drop out of contention. He was very game to be fighting back at the end.
It's kind of amazing that Wicked Trick began his career on turf and was a middling turf horse at that. And once they switched him over to the dirt, just the light bulb has gone on in his head. He has now won 6 races in a row. Linda Rice had him ready to run a 101 buyer against starter allowance horses. Here he is. He just tracked on the outside, took over with ease against this inferior competition on the turn, and is off to the races. I have to be honest, when you watch a horse win like this, you're stunned they pay $7.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, I guess that they were maybe concerned that he was stretching out to the mile here, and we're wondering if he was going to handle it. Obviously, he handled it with no problem. He was actually closer to the pace than usual in this spot, too, and he just crushed this field. They keep moving him up in class. he keeps running faster races. Now they're going to bump him up one more time. We'll see how he handles the graded stakes competition. If he runs that race that he ran last time, he could give Firenze Fire a fight.
All of a sudden, he's the alternative to Firenze Fire if he runs that race. Now, Linda has won races like the Barbara Fritchie in the past with horses turning back off wins in a one-turn mile to 7 furlongs. She's going to try to do it here with a very sharp horse in Wicked Trick. I think Linda will admittedly say, listen, we're taking a shot against Firenze Fire, but with a race like that, sure, I'll take a shot for $250,000. I'll take a shot as well as we take a look at our top selections for the General George. I like what I've seen from Wicked Trick. He's going to be a little bit of a better price in here. Firenze Fire, he's going to be on the lead. He's going to be tough. You don't need me to tell you he's the horse to beat. Mike, would you single this horse?
Mostly I would. I just think he's too good for these horses. I'm very interested to see what Wicked Trick does. I would try to use him a little bit. To me, Firenze Fire is supposed to win this race.
If someone goes after Firenze Fire, I'm a little curious to see if
Are you that sure Firenze Fire is going to be on the lead? I know that the pace breaker says yes. Are you that sure he's going to be on the lead?
I think if he's not, all of a sudden now this race changes. And now you've got 5 or 6 horses just going to be close to the race, and it becomes who has the strongest kick maybe. And I don't know if that's really Firenze Fire's game. I would send him to the front if they gave it to me and they said, you're going to go 23 for the first quarter. If they don't, I wonder if a horse like the 3 Factor It In can get a piece of this, just simply because he is in sharp form. Now, we didn't see him change leads last time out, but the way this barn is going, he kicks and he is sharp, and he got a 95 fig last time out. Firenze Fire way the horse to beat. Mike's going 6-9-4-2. I want to see Wicked Trick do it again for Linda. 9-3-6-5 for me. Grade 3 General George. Great card at Laurel on Saturday. Approximate post for this one, 3:49 Eastern. Best of luck.